But I always say with this story, it's been about the unexpected. Just has a way of just coming out of nowhere and completely blindsiding everybody. And I guess you could say that it's about that we are owed something that isn't out of left field, that it isn't going to be entirely unexpected of a press conference. But there have just been so many unexpected twists and turns in this case that I quite literally don't have any idea of what to expect. But that's what my brain goes in thinking, that we're going to find out that the remains have been that they have found partial remains, and that it is going to be connected to the belongings that were discovered here at the Carlton Reserve.
So if those are, I believe that if that they could very well tell us who they think those belongings belong to, if you will, and if they are connected to this, that would be the first items found after roughly 5 weeks of searching. Is that correct? Is that accurate?
Say that one more time.
The first items found out there, right?
Oh yeah, no, there hasn't been
nothing found.
Well,
fascinating.
Well, hold on though. There's the chance that they found something and they just didn't announce it to the media.
Very
and that has been speculation for weeks. People saying, "Oh my God, did they find something?" And that's the reason that they're searching endlessly here. But I'd be very curious to know. There were, when I tell you, Walt, that I got so many angry messages that weren't necessarily directed at me, but were sent to me. Viewers that were angry that their taxpayer dollar was being used at a search that the viewer was so certain that Brian wasn't here, that he was chilling on a beach. We had questions about a yacht recently. All of these wild theories out there. And people saying, could he be on a beach in Mexico, kicking up his feet on a yacht and hanging out? Could he be on the Appalachian Trail? Could he have made it all the way to Canada? All of these, and there were people that were 100% certain.
100%.
Hey guys, we're waiting for an FBI press release.
He's not there. That's all we heard. And then you're made to feel, it's sort of along the lines, although it turned out to be true.
Hey guys, welcome. TJ, welcome to New Zealand Mysteries. We are watching JB Buno and Walt Buteau on WFA LA Now, and they have found some remains in the Carlton Reserve, and we are waiting for a press release from the FBI.
And in this case, again, we kept covering it because I fully believed law enforcement had reason to believe that there was a reason to keep that search going.
I've been told, and I've heard that Chris and Roberta Launrie have visited the site.
The last 2 days, it's just interesting that today, it could be the day that final piece is sort of revealed. Not necessarily the final piece, but one of the final pieces.
Hey Jay, welcome.
Go back to any stream that we have done in recent weeks, and people asking, JB is in Mexico, JB is in Canada, why are they searching the reserve? Why are there been potentially millions of dollars or $1 million+ whatever the amount will end up being, the bill for the
Jay
search.
Matthews, how are you feeling about this?
So much taxpayer money committed to searching here, when clearly people are saying they're not finding anything. Why are they committed to the search here? And I'm on record saying over and over and over again, you have to have a certain level of confidence, a high level of confidence with the FBI, because they likely have information that the public doesn't have, that leads them to be committing that much attention and be putting that many resources here at the Carlton Reserve. And here we are. So I'd be very curious to hear from those people that would email me, or not even email me, but direct message me on my Instagram or on Facebook, people that were just so passionately convinced that he wasn't here. And and I said, no, you have to listen. There's a process, and
there is a lot of people who thought he was on the run, that he was alive, and a lot of people thought he was dead. So, here we are.
Kind of your thing.
Stories, what?
That's kind of your thing.
Well, it is, and I've always, as I am privately, and I am as a taxpayer.
I'm feeling a little bit uneasy too, Joe. Jay, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Because that's our money. That's our money that's being spent. So I get those questions. However, there was an explanation about this search early on, And it kind of makes a lot of sense that the officers out there were on their regular shift, and that that it may not involve as much overtime as people think. That the food was donated in many of the cases. And keep this in mind.
I know some YouTubers were searching the Carlton Reserve themselves, and they were very, very close to this position. This position is a stone's throw away from where the Mustang was parked in the reserve on the Maya Hashi side.
In this case, in a case like this, if
I butchered that.
Was ever a concern, I guess, unless they didn't find Brian Launrie out there. But even then, you have to eliminate possibilities. It is criminal science, right? Science, you eliminate this so you can focus on something else. That's what police do, and that's what they did here. And even though it did take a long time, and will eventually have a price tag, and people will perhaps complain about it if they end up finding the body of Brian Launrie here, that is what we pay them to do, and I would find it hard to complain about that particular cost, even though that is what I do, is look for misspent money. So
that's your beat here on
this is a
News
great
Channel
shot.
8.
I know it's filed, but it's a great shot of
it's hours.
The officers,
it's a couple of hours old here.
But still, they're right near the tent. You can see where they're looking.
It's the best vantage point that we have had peeking through these trees.
Yeah.
And so let me explain the strategy here, folks. YouTube, again, this is rinse and repeat. YouTube, we're not going anywhere. YouTube, we're going to be live with the on stream. We're going to take a 5-minute break here in about 10 minutes. I want to say in about 10 minutes. We're going to take a 5-minute break just to step away to reset here. An opportunity to drink some water, use the facilities, do what we have to do here, because we have been streaming nonstop without commercial break now for, I think, 4.5 hours. Let's get an update count. We've been streaming now for 4 hours and 24 minutes. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We are going to be ending the Facebook stream. Facebook, and I have a better idea now as far as how to describe this for our audience, but Facebook is more intermittent streaming, while YouTube is more long-form streaming, if that makes sense. So we end the Facebook stream, but we relaunch a new Facebook stream, and we'll have, of course, full coverage both before and after the FBI press conference at 4:30 Eastern time. I want to bring this up here at the end of this Facebook stream because we did have a question and a comment on this earlier, and it pertains to a psychic that got a hold of you last month. And that, when I tell you that created quite a stir on social media, that was a pretty significant stir on social media, because you had shared information about a psychic that had gotten a hold of you and had said that they were going to accurately predict the date that Brian Launrie was found. So why don't you share?
And I reached out to her this weekend. And by the way, investigators use psychics. I have people roll their eyes when I bring up this story, but I'm sorry. It's something that has been used by investigators, and did they use it here? I don't know. But this woman on the 21st of September told me it would be 28 days from then when they would find Brian Launrie. So at first, if you count the 21st, that meant Monday. But as my wife pointed out, wait a minute, day one is actually the 22nd of September. That means 28 days was yesterday. And the body was found today on day 29. Does it make you believe in the psychic? I don't know. I will tell you this. The psychic predicted also that Brian Launrie would be alive. That's not accurate. Well, we don't know. Let me rephrase that.
Hey, Pam Smith, welcome.
And also predicted that.
Well, would they go through all this rigmarole if it wasn't going to be him?
But this end would be found, she did say, near water, near the banks, is how she put it.
So really, in the end, it would turn
Glad
out
you could make it home.
Water ended up and the water was a big role in this, just not in the way that was originally thought to be.
Right, and again,
water
we don't know if it's the end. We don't know if the end, but if it is the end, then that particular psychic was pretty close. It gave me an exact day, not a round number. So
Jay, you reckon it's him?
Very interesting. I think it's something that people have been reaching out to me. What day did she say? What day did she say? And I did reach out to her on over the weekend, and she said, I still see that
I don't
happening.
think they'd have
but
all
again, she
this
thought he'd be alive.
going on and the FBI
So-
press
and we don't
conference
know that
coming
he's
up
not
if
at
they
this point.
didn't
We do
think
not
that
know
it was
anything.
possibly
We'll find
Brian
out at
Launrie.
4:30. We'll find out more in 27 minutes.
So sorry,
again,
Pam.
28 days from the 21st of September brings us to
Colby,
Tuesday.
hi.
Today's Wednesday. So
One more comment from our Facebook audience in this one particular Facebook stream. Becky Lunsford, hashtag AJB. So chances are he's been in there for a while if this is his remains.
I've just got on
yes,
Colby, so
yes,
I haven't
Becky.
heard about a backpack, but
There
just remains so
there's
far.
a chance that he has been in here for a while if this is in fact his remains. Does
Thank you,
this mean
Pam.
that
You're
he was
such
wandering here for
sweet
weeks
chick.
and weeks
I
and
think
weeks
you're my
before
favorite fan.
interesting.
You're my
something
best
Sure,
occurred?
fan.
if that's true, that is just
We don't know the time of death. We don't
No.
even know that the remains belong to Brian Launrie yet. But it's not as if that Brian Launrie left the Carlton Reserve, had a fun weekend in Miami and then returned to the Carlton
Hi,
Reserve.
Trudy.
we don't know that.
Trudy, you could tell us, was there a backpack that was
I
found?
think that we can say that. I think that we can say that.
I will tell you this though, I saw many experts. And
Please give us a like and a subscribe.
We did it. I think Allison Henning did it. I've seen other media do it about the whole probability of being able to survive in a place like that.
Yes.
And most people said it wasn't a big probability that it was a it's a 2 to 3 week thing that you would have had to have something to clean the water. You
Thanks,
need the water,
Trudy.
you need food. We do know something that that he had some skills, but we don't know how great.
If you're from
the skills
America,
were.
what
So,
time's 4:30
all
for
we
this
know,
press
the time of
conference?
death will
How
be
far
2 or
away
3
is it?
weeks ago, and the reason the remains were not found was because of the water, and the water has receded, dried up. But again, we don't know anything about this other than
Heaps of
from the FBI.
people thought he was too
that
coward.
items of interest were found, and for all we know, at 4:30, that's all they're going to elaborate on. We will see. We will hear.
30
in
minutes, Trudy.
25
Thank you.
minutes.
Live on WFLA now, before and after the press conference here. I haven't seen a podium.
It's good to have you, Colby. Good to have you,
But I
Jay.
will.
Do you have a live pick over there?
I do. Let's just hit some buttons.
I've
here.
worked today,
And we
so
can
I
make that
hope it.
magic happen.
I'll do as long as I can. Jay, how long have you been there? I don't
look
know.
at that, right
Yeah, see, there's
right
there's
there.
the mic stand.
That's the mic stand that we were talking about. This is how now media comes
So
together.
there's a little plastic. This is new. I haven't seen this anyplace else. It's
So
a
we're
little piece of
definitely seeing them
plexiglass
set up for a press
or
conference.
PVC. It's got little holes in it, and it'll fit multiple microphones.
I've
this
heard
only
that Chris
here
and
in Florida.
Roberta
I think I
Laundrie
was
have been
told-
down there.
I think a photographer invented it. Somebody told me that. But yeah, there you go. You have how many mics you have? I think you can fit 16. So there you have it.
There will be some competition.
Right,
for
Trudy,
getting
thank
a
you.
prominent spot, and it's,
Well, Jay, the
it's
spot apparently is not far
what
from
goes on
the
for,
Mayahachi.
the
I can't even say that.
mass audience press conference,
But not far from where the
So,
Mustang was
we'll
picked
go
up.
live here, everybody, on WFLA now but really before 4:30, and we're not going anywhere. We're staying live on WFLA.com.
Thanks,
WFLA
Trudy.
app. We're staying live on YouTube. To our YouTube audience, hello there. Thanks for spending time with us this Wednesday afternoon. We really appreciate you joining us. I'll just kind of give a shout out, even though that there are landmines as far as YouTube names. We'll just give some.
A lot of people thought, Colby, that he wouldn't do it.
Here specifically on YouTube, just to say hello to our YouTube audience. Cynthia May is joining us. Philip Smith. Let's see here. Dimples. Yeah, the names on YouTube are quite different than the ones you would find on Facebook.
YouTube does have weird names.
Sam Balti. They're just coming in so fast. Alice Boyce. Mark Jones. Michael Marsh. Hello to our YouTube audience. And then to our Facebook audience, just hello to our Facebook Live audience, Tom, Krista, Rebecca.
Thanks, Trudy.
Paige,
Yeah, I heard
Rebecca,
that a lot of the water
Paige,
has receded,
Cano,
and
Nancy Rivera,
that is
to
why
everybody watching.
these
We
remains
really
have been
appreciate
able
you joining
to
us here,
be
everybody,
found.
on WFLA now. How this is going to work? We are going to take a momentary break, just step away, so that Walt and I can grab a drink.
And we can chat.
Just But we're going to leave up this picture. We're going to leave up this picture here from Hatch.
Okay, those two are taking a break, and they probably deserve it. I think they've been on for hours. Wow, guys, this is crazy. There's been so much speculation on where Brian could be, whether he's alive or dead, whether he's in another country. And here we are. I wake up and this is going. So this happened while I was asleep. Jay says, yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about this. I'm not sure how I feel about this either. It's been such a part of our lives for like over a month, for weeks and weeks. And this is just shocking. And the FBI is not going to have a press conference unless they've found something. I don't think the press conference will be very long. I don't think they'll tell us very much, just because it's the FBI and that's what they do. But it's telling that Roberta and Chris were on site or have been on site today. And there's been pictures shown of them on site. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy, guys. I'm actually a bit floored. I didn't expect to wake up to this morning. Colby, yeah, FBI talking soon. So sorry, I took a vape and it went down the wrong hole. I hate that. Yeah, this is going to be wild. Like I said, I don't expect the FBI to say a hell of a lot, but it's the first time we're going to get some information from them. Colby, you can change my name to Mark. If I remember to call you Mark, I'll try. Not promising anything because I just woke up and my memory's not that good anyway. Trudy, he wouldn't be able to live on the run. Yeah, a lot of people had that, that he couldn't live for that long and without being supported. Yeah, so a lot of people believed he had to be dead. I was on the fence. I've always been on the fence because I just don't know. As a creator, I probably should have an opinion, but one day I think that he was alive and the other day I think he's dead. Just, you know. I bet Dog isn't happy that he didn't find him. So it will be interesting to see if Dog makes a statement or something afterwards. Because Dog definitely believed he was alive. And I wonder, I don't live in Florida, obviously, and I wonder if the gators have got him. Is that a possibility, guys, do you think? I don't know much about gators. I don't know much about these swamps. I don't know much about Florida. Yeah. So is it a possibility that some gators got him? Which is a horrible thought. Mark says, I wonder if his parents disclosed if he took the gun with him to the reserve or if a gator got him. Yeah, I do not know. I guess we're going to hear something from the FBI, but I'm not totally sure how much we'll get from the FBI. Pam says, if he's dead, it wasn't by his hand. Mother Nature got him. He's too big of a coward. Possibly. Trudy says there'd be no good. He won't have a partner, kids, family, and it was going to have to happen as the parents should have handed him in. Right. Hey, Ebony, welcome. We've got a press conference coming up very shortly from the FBI. They've found remains in the Carlton Reserve, along with a backpack. Chris and Roberta, his parents, have been down there to identify it. So we're just waiting for the press conference. Welcome. Joe, I don't think there would be much left of him if the gators got him. Yeah, true. Pam, if the crocodiles you need to worry about far more aggressive than the alligator and you can drown an alligator. Oh, thanks for that. Buster Outlaws, welcome, says this is totally bollocks. It's not him. Righto. Well, we'll get to see very shortly, won't we? what the FBI say. Hi, Kaleidoscope. Welcome. I'm TJ. Welcome to New Zealand Mysteries. We're on YouTube. We cover international stories. On our Facebook page, which is all welcome to join, we focus on New Zealand cases and getting the word out for them. Please like and subscribe to my channel. That would be really fantastic. So we're watching WFLA now with JB and Walt, I think his name is, and they're just having a small break. And on screen, we're watching the press conference set up for the FBI to make their statements. Pam, being its half body makes me think it's a croc. They like to dry rot their food by storing it under debris and water. Oh, I didn't hear that, Pam.
Hello to our YouTube audience and our audience on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. We're not actively streaming on Facebook right now, but I want to make something very clear to our audience. In fact, we'll do this here live together. This shot,
have we
we're in a very remote
Kaleidoscope?
area, and the shot is very
bad memory.
Walt, it is.
It's not a great signal.
It's not a great signal, but
It looks pretty
we
good.
are getting up our satellite feed.
True. Do you mean the Maliete case?
Punch up our satellite feed here.
Don't be sorry, Pam. Don't ever be sorry.
Significantly better. So, 4:30 Eastern press conference live via satellite now. The FBI press conference on the Launrie search efforts. We'll have that
under another name,
here
Kaleidoscope.
now.
Here we go, guys. I think they're testing. Ooh, I'm getting excited about this. You have a tendency to over-explain, Pam. I don't care. I love you just the way you are. So you over-explain all you like, my dear. It's fine with me. And you too, Trudy. Fine with me. This is a bit of a discussion channel. I like to talk with the people that we're and you guys. I like to talk to you guys, and I like to get your opinion. Buster says Jimmy James is dropping the ball on this. Hey, we don't like mentioning other channels. You only have to be kind, be respectful, not rude, don't be a dick, and don't mention other channels. That'd be great. Thanks, Buster. I'm sorry, Kaleidoscope. I honestly have the worst memory, and it's embarrassing sometimes, so I'm sorry. You know it, Pam. Mark, yeah, so body in a backpack. Yeah, apparently. We're hopefully going to find out some more information soon. Buster, don't be sorry, dude. It's all right. These things do happen. Just give us a like and a sub. That would be awesome. Oh, God. Why am I so nervous about this? I don't know how I feel about it. Is it good if it's him and he's dead? Is that good? Or did we want him found? And justice for Gabby. Is this justice for Gabby? Or would have justice him being caught and having to go through court and be sentenced and convicted of Gabby's murder? Did he get out like a wimp, like a coward? Pam says, Buster, this case has the whole world shook up, honey. It really does. It really does. So, Buster, you're fine, dude. I don't have many rules, but that's just one because it seems to create shit, basically. Prison was his biggest fear. He wouldn't have lasted one day in prison because everybody would have known who he was. They would have just seen his duck walk and they would have known who he was. He wouldn't have survived in there, that's for sure. Being an outdoorsman, he didn't want to be locked up. Buster, thanks. You're welcome, hon. Jay, yeah, he got out the easy way. Yeah, Yeah, I think so too now. Everyone says he wouldn't do that. They thought he was a narcissist and he was a coward and he wasn't going to do this. But yeah, we may have been proven wrong. Mark says the world wants him alive. The case will now be dropped. This is not good. This is not good. Buster says, I really don't think it's him. I think he's out of the country. Oh, okay. We'll send the press conference what they think. Pam says, my brother, who doesn't even believe in the internet, was even affected by it, but he used to live but an hour from Moab. I used to live but about an hour from Moab. Oh, okay, wow. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm nervous, guys, for some reason. Can I just say, if you're in here or if you just duck in for a moment and duck back out, please give us a like. That would be really good. Colby Snacks, he won't be charged if he's dead. Case will be dropped. Would move on. We needed alive for justice. Yeah, absolutely. Kaleidoscope, we met in Secret Studio last year. Been watching you ever since. Oh, that's a great place, by the way. John Walden's Secret Studio. It's the bomb. Well, Kaleidoscope, I'm going to remember you now. And welcome. And thank you for your support. Trudy says, Gabby parents, I wish them peace, whatever the outcome. Oh, this cannot be easy for Gabby Petito's parents right now. So on behalf of all our New Zealand Mysteries team, we're sending some love and light to Gabby Petito's parents right now. This must be horrible for them. I wonder what everyone's going to do and what's going to be the next big case. Yeah. I ducked in because you were so encouraging to me last week and wanted to say thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. No, I feel bad, but you're always welcome. I try to be encouraging and nice to people as much as I can. So, yeah, thank you very much, Kaleidoscope. Pam, I hope they still go after his parents for their part, and if he's dead, this is just as much their fault as his own, and those is an empath stating that. What I wonder is, did they really knew that he was going to go and do this? If they had an inkling that he was going to go and do this, why haven't they been more active in looking for their son? That's just my opinion. I know they did help the FBI, and Chris Launrie did go out for a little while, but really, they haven't been active in looking for their son. There's no flyers. Yeah, so I'm sorry. I'm just watching the live, making sure we're not going to miss it. I really appreciate everyone here. Hit that like button for me. That would be really cool. Can't believe I woke up to this. Colby Snacks. So they said partial human remains. Hard to think he's already decomposed. Maybe not. Or did the crocodiles or the alligators get half of him? Who knows? I guess we're going to find out. We do know that this find is because the water has receded at the Carlton Reserve. So... Just going to mute that for a minute. TJ, they told him to come home and avoiding her parents. Yeah, there's something. Yeah, something, if not everything. They knew something. Do you mean, Pam? Yeah, I don't know. They just didn't act like parents that knew their son was going to off himself or something. They didn't seem particularly distressed the whole time. But, you know, we're not his parents. We don't know how people would react in this situation, but it just seemed a bit odd. They knew something, if not all, Pam says, about the parents. Kaleidoscope, I want to believe his parents didn't know, and if not, I feel bad for them. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how people will treat the parents now. I mean, obviously, if these parents have just found out that their son has died, this would be very traumatic for them, and they're going to need space to come to terms with that. So I actually do hope the protesters just back off for a while at least and give the Launrie family a little bit of space to grieve at this point, if it is Brian. Trudy, I believe he told his parents a BS story and did tell them he was off for a tramp but never returned and went off the radar. Right. Possibly. Mark says maybe they accepted his fate and Brian told them it's my time. We don't know. We don't know what the conversation was between Brian and his parents when he left. Trudy says he was known to have a gun. Okay. I feel bad for them, but they did feel bad for Gabby's parents. I think not. I understand that they didn't feel bad for Gabby's parents. I understand that. But the reality, in my opinion, only in my opinion, is that these people have just found out that their son is dead, supposedly, allegedly. And if that's the truth, then I feel very sad for them. And I hope they get some time to grieve before the protesters come back. If they come back, yeah, just human decency for a little bit. I don't know how I feel about them coming back and being on their case. I guess we'll see how it all plays out. The thing that gets me is apparently this body, we'll find out more, but apparently this body was just found where searches were.
We are completely honed in here on the makeshift podium that has been set up at Myakkahatchee, right outside where so many different law enforcement agencies have gathered for the discovery, according to NBC News and others that have been reporting this now, the discovery of partial human remains, or what appears to be partial human remains.
Thanks, Morgan. We don't recommend other channels in here, but thank you.
The silver Ford Mustang convertible of Brian Launrie was discovered in September. The citation that was put on that vehicle that was right here on Reisterstown Road in our neck of the woods here in the Tampa Bay area in rural Sarasota County. Let's go here live full screen, and let's just kind of put up the audio a little bit here, and we'll listen in. Just some chattering here in the background, Walt.
Hey, hun, welcome. I know, right? This is what I woke up to as well. Good to have you here.
The entire world's going to be watching this press conference, especially those who have been honed into this story from day one and have not stopped watching and getting updates from us on WFLA and other media outlets as well.
Here's what we know from the FBI. 2 hours ago, would have been 2:26.
Can you guys hear them all right?
FBI tweet, items of interest were located at the Carlton Reserve this morning in connection with the search for Brian Launrie. Important timeline there. Found this morning around the time, perhaps, that the Laundries were there, according to their attorney, Stephen Bertolino. An FBI evidence response team is processing the scene. That was, again, that happened early afternoon. We showed you video of that. And then just a short time ago, 35 minutes ago, media alert, FBI Tampa will brief the media. Now, keep in mind, it's FBI Denver that has led this investigation. And these
if you're in here, please just give us a like and subscribe.
FBI Tampa will brief the media at 4:30 concerning today's developments in the search for Brian Launrie at the entrance of Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park there in Northport, Florida. So that's what we know, and we expect to know more at 4:30. We also know that backpack, we believe, according to NBC, was found near those human remains. We do not know what the remains, how much, the amount of these remains. We do not know that.
We don't really know anything about the remains whatsoever other than senior law enforcement officials, sources within senior, or sources that are senior law enforcement officials informing to members of the media that partial human remains, or what appears to be partial human remains, were found in an area that was previously underwater. And that is a huge component here to this story, because we don't know how long the remains have been here. But remember back to September, how wet this area was. I mean, we're talking in some areas knee-deep, waist-deep in water.
A lot of moccasins and copperheads and alligators, all that stuff.
A tremendous amount of wildlife here at the reserve. It's not all that visible, but we've gators. You'll find deer. You'll find snakes. You'll find coyotes, panthers. a lot of different wildlife here at the Carlton Reserve, Myakkahatchee, the very rural, vast area of Sarasota County. But we'll go back here live full screen. Here's how this is going to work. The time now, 4:28 Eastern. We don't know how if the FBI is going to be on time here, but of course we're staying here with you live on WFLA Now. We're going to wait for the FBI to step up to the podium here, and immediately after the press conference is over, Walt and I are here with you live to break down what we have learned. We're going to take your hashtag #HJB, hashtag #HateWalt questions, because we're going to learn a good amount here, or at least we can only hope that we're going to be provided with some answers.
I have work today, but I'll stay along as long as I can.
Questions we don't know. There was somebody. I'm sure they will start. The FBI would tend to release a statement and then walk on. And keep in mind, again, this is the FBI office out of Tampa, not the lead FBI office out of Denver, which obviously would be the closest office to where the body was found in Wyoming 50 days ago. The body was found on the 19th.
We are watching
So
WFLA News.
But it was about 50 days ago when, according to various documents, we can narrow down that
This is kind of scary, Jay. It's quite got a bit of anxiety going. That's for sure. I'm not sure how I feel about this.
Live across all of our platforms here on WFLA Now, and we'll again break down what we have learned in the aftermath here on this stream.
No worries, Kaleidoscope. I'm glad you're here.
Here with you live, and we're going to find out here.
Not the Panthers. There's a swift soundless killer.
What has transpired today? What discovery has been made? And even though we're going
to find out more, back in a second.
We are not going to find out everything, Walt, that the FBI knows. They're going to keep some information, perhaps most information, close to the vest. But they have called this press conference here for a very specific reason, and we're about to find out what that reason is.
And, keep in mind, they're going to keep information close to the vest, but it is very possible that they do not know as much as we might think they know. This is not a television show. This is real life. Perhaps the remains were discovered this morning. It's now been only 5 hours since they've had this remains. So what do they know?
Survived.
They may not know.
And yet all these cases are sad and scary.
Information because that is all they have. Obviously, no forensic study on these.
Please take care of yourself, Kaleidoscope. If this is too much for you and going to trigger anything, don't watch it,
on the 19th that the news conference was held, that the remains were found, and they identified them as Gabby Petito, but we did not find out the manner of death until, I believe, a day or so later. So patience with the investigators at this point.
I believe it will be a short and sharp conference too. I don't think they'll say much.
Brian Launrie, and do we now have a closed case where we have a homicide but no live defendant to prosecute?
And let's begin right there. That is the big question. The partial human remains discovered today at the Carlton Reserve here in Myakkahatchee. Is that Brian Launrie? Is that Brian Launrie? So many people, of course, have been on the lookout for Brian Launrie. There have been sightings. Here comes the FBI. We're back here with you live on WFLA.
This is exciting and nervous. I'm not going to talk during it. I'll see you after it's finished.
Good afternoon, Josh Taylor with the Northport Police Department. Thank you for your continued diligence on this story, and thanks for your patience. As you know, the Northport Police Department has worked collaboratively with the FBI throughout this investigation.
A person of interest in the murder of Gabby Petito. Earlier today, investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Launrie. These items were found in an area that up until recently have been underwater. Our evidence response team is on scene using all available forensic resources to process the area. It's likely the team will be on scene for several days. I know you have a lot of questions, but we don't have all the answers yet. We are working diligently to get those answers for you. We are grateful for the dedication and professionalism of the Northport Police Department, along with our partners from the state and local agencies. Complex investigations such as this cannot be accomplished by one agency alone, but there are just too many agencies to name them all here today. Portions of the Myakkahatchee Creek Environment Park and Carlton Reserve will remain closed to the public until further notice. This is an active and ongoing investigation, so we ask the public to maintain distance from any law enforcement personnel, equipment, vehicles, and other related activity for the safety of the public and to protect the integrity of our work. We have no additional comment related to today's activities. Our FBI Denver office is the lead investigative agency, and all future inquiries should be directed to them. We appreciate the tremendous support from the public and continue to ask for your assistance in bringing this investigation to close. Thank you.
Was the backpack found near the body?
Justice for Gabby! 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 Justice for Gabby!
Breaking news on WFLA now.
Wow.
JB Buno.
You hear the calls. Justice for Gabby. After the FBI announces information that
I think
we have
the
been
area was
receiving
underwater
over
kaleidoscope.
the last several hours. Partial human remains discovered here today at the Carlton Reserve near a backpack and a notebook. A backpack and a notebook that might belong to Brian Launrie, a scene that is now going to take several days for them to comb through. An evidence response team
They said
with the FBI and other law enforcement
sweet
agencies
F all.
here at the scene in Florida.
I knew that they would say not
Hey folks,
much,
JB
but I
Buno
thought
here
they'd
with the
say a
11
bit more.
WFLA now. Let's show you that area here again. You saw that there were folks there on lawn chairs. Yes, lawn chairs that have the folks that have been outside of the Carlton Reserve or really outside of Myakkahatchee Wall. Just goes to show how many people have been following this story around the world and wanting updates. And we were talking about it right before
Not sure
the press
kaleidoscope.
conference began.
There's no
The answer that
information.
we wanted, as far as the question that was hopefully going to be asked, and we didn't get an opportunity here to ask any questions, was, is this Brian Launrie? We did not learn that here today.
We did not, and I would like to hear the sound again. Did he say might? He worded it, it seemed, I would say oddly.
Would you prefer
Did
to
he
have a
say
chat
might
about it
have
or keep
belonged
listening
Brian
to
Launrie? Or did he
WFLA?
say- he might have gone a step farther than that it was, but he did say notebook, he did say backpack. Look, the notebook, by the way, if it's Brian Laundrie's, is fascinating, right? Because what could we learn from that notebook? What will be released from that notebook by the FBI? But he also pointed out, and we've said this, you and I have both said this, we've all said this, very complicated investigation involving multiple jurisdictions and multiple agencies that are trying to coordinate and figure
Chat.
out these answers. He also was somewhat apologetic to the public.
All right, I'm going to put these guys on mute. We'll keep watching the scene, though, through their pictures. And let's have a chat, guys. What do you think? Oh, you want to listen to these guys a little longer? Okay, we'll do another five or so minutes of this.
Listen in here for a second, if we can. There isn't much audio on this feed. I just punched it up. So, again, just showing people have been coming from across the country to be here, Walt, to be part of the Justice for Gabby movement. You can see the
I think I just
chairs,
seen Molly
folks
go
that have brought
lightly.
their own belongings here to camp out here today. You can't go into the
What are all
reserve,
these
but there's nothing that
processes
says
going to
you
do?
can't be outside of it. And you can see that a lot of folks here are showing pictures and sounds like they are shouting at police. Let's see if we can listen. There's no audio on this feed.
I
Okay,
saw
I
our
just confirmed it.
photographer from Channel 8 take the mic, so there might not be a mic at all.
And it might be audio that, again, we don't know what kind of language is being used here, but
Right.
you can see that they're not shouting at police as much as they are shouting at photographers
It looked like
that are here,
though
that have gathered.
the news conference ended with them chanting "Justice for Gabby" to the investigators. Kind of odd. I think. I get the frustration, but you're chanting to the investigators who are trying to figure out what they have, and the worst thing they could possibly do is say it's Brian Launrie without certainty, and then find out it's not.
Yeah, so the FBI said sweet F all, and we didn't even find out anything about the body. We didn't think or find out anything whether it was Brian Launrie, but we did find out that there was a backpack and a notebook found. This notebook is going to be very, very interesting to read. I wonder if he used it like a diary or he wrote any notes in it. Maybe he admitted to what he did to Gabby in this notebook. It's going to be really interesting to see what comes out of this and when they're going to do future updates. Kaleidoscope says, if I say weird things, I blame the cats crawling on my laptop. We've had that before, so it's all good. It's all good. I thought cadaver dogs could track a body in the water. Actually, I don't actually know, curious, much about tracker dogs, to be honest. But, you know, I think we've got a picture of the coroner, or is it just a police car pulling up? Not sure. Trudy, thank you for the watch today. We'll continue to wait for your updates. Thank goodness to a New Zealand channel. Thanks, Trudy. Welcome. It's good to have you here. Like I say, on YouTube, I usually cover international cases with my mates in chat. We talk about things and discuss things. So it's a bit of an interactive channel. On my Facebook page, we usually cover just New Zealand cases. But, you know, some people like a bit of both. Colby or Mark says, I'm sure the notebook and ink has washed up and unreadable. Yeah, probably, because if things were underwater and now they've found this body because the water's receded, it's a good likelihood that the notebook won't be any good unless the notebook was inside the backpack and that protected it. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see on that. Cadaver bloodhounds can locate a body 20 feet underwater. Well, they're saying that they searched this place. This is where they searched. It's really close to the Maiahatchee area where he dropped the Mustang off or left the Mustang, from what I've heard. But Colby says they just didn't search that specific location properly. Well, they could have searched it and been like a meter or a couple of meters from him and not seen him. You never know. Never know. Kaleidoscope says, Colby snacks, sometimes scientists can recover the ink even after underwater. Oh, that would be good because we want to know what's in that notebook. There may be some really good information in that notebook. So let's pray that that we get some information. So this must be a live shot of the Laundrie's house. Like I said before, and I don't know if it's going to be a real popular opinion, but I do hope that if it is Brian, the Laundries get a little bit of time to grieve the loss of their son. Even though we know what he did, it's still their son, and I hope that they get some time to grieve and the protesters leave them alone for a while at least, just to give them a bit of space. That would be incredible. I think you're talking about the notebook there, Colby. Kaleidoscope says it's not easy or guaranteed, but it has happened for sure, for sure. So we don't know anything at the moment. I have to close off soonish because I have to get ready for work, but I'm going to put any updates in the comments of this, and if you guys have any updates, please post them in the comments for everyone to read. That would be really awesome. Curious says there's some bad taste to be at the house now. Well, the thing is though, we just seen all those all those protesters at the press conference going at the police. Why are they shouting justice for Gabby at the police? I don't understand. You're off, Kaleidoscope. Thanks, honey. Have a great day. Please hit the like button before you go. That would be awesome. Yes, it would be incredible finding if scientists can recover ink. Oh, yeah. I think that the notebook holds a lot of secrets, and if they can recover that, I think we might learn a bit about Brian himself, and hopefully he may have written down other things as well, mate. Thanks, Kaleidoscope. I appreciate that, hun. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm a bit shaken up about it, actually, and I didn't expect the FBI to say much, but I actually expected them to say something about the body, and they never even mentioned it. So it's going to be very interesting. We know that the FBI is very tight-lipped about a lot of things, so I imagine that the body or body parts or body remains will have to be DNA identified, and until that time I don't think the FBI will come out and say much more, just because we know what they're like. They don't say sweet F all. So I will be looking for updates, and we're going to continue our live streams. If you're in here, sometimes we go live about once a week, and we have a bit of an interactive discussion about cases in the news and other cases that need attention as well around the world. And we bring these to light and discuss them. So not just the big stories. The DNA Gabby's remains in 24 hours, right? Yeah, it was pretty quick, Mark. So whether they'll release that once they find out, whether they release that straight away, we don't know. Yes. Surely they could identify him by his feet. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. This is a very serious thing. I shouldn't laugh, but yes, surely they could identify him by his dark feet. Curious. Everybody needs a little bit of laugh in some serious situations, and that's it. That's the laugh. Very, very interesting. So, oh, wow. I don't know what to think, guys. I really don't know what to think. I'm a bit anxious. I'm going to be at work, and I'm not going to be knowing what's going on. So that's going to get me even more anxious. Don't be sorry, curious. Everyone needs some light humor now and again. I mean, I find that covering true crime can always be very morbid and very down, and it can get you quite depressed, and you can take on some of the stuff. And I feel like we all need a bit of humor to break that up, because I don't want to be down and depressed and heavy because I'm covering all these cases. That's not going to help me in any way. So just a little bit of light humor is always a good thing. That's what I think anyway. Had the clown shoes on, dead giveaway. Yeah, well, there's no mention of him having any clown shoes on. Well, the alligators might have left those, a bit too tough and red. Who knows? Would you like to listen to WFLA a bit longer before I go off?
And your questions using hashtag HeyJB or hashtag HeyWalt.
It'll be interesting to
for
listen to some questions.
We're going to stay here with you live. We have just such a large audience here, and we want to try to get to as many questions and comments as possible. But where does this fit into the Justice for Gabby cause? You heard at the end of the press conference the cries for justice for Gabby. Where are we with this? Where are we? Are we farther from justice? Or is justice eluding this cause, or are we closer to justice? I'd like to hear your comments here on the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and on Twitter in those comment sections, and we can feature your comments here on screen
what does justice mean? I'd like more than just we want justice. I get that. That's simplified, but what does that mean? Does that mean when you say there's not going to be any justice, does that mean you wanted him prosecuted to the full extent of the law, or does it mean something else? When you say you want justice, do you mean we want fairness? I want to, because I get what
right, because justice in the eyes of some is eye for an eye, and that's not necessarily how our system works here in the United States. Clearly, it's not an eye for an eye sort of system. If you go and you stab somebody, there isn't a judge in America that is going to say, or a judge anywhere for that matter, that's going to say, okay, now the other person gets to stab back. That's just not how it works. But what does justice? You're right. What does justice look like? And are we further from it? Is it closer? I think we're closer to answers, but are we closer to justice? We're gonna again open up, and it takes a few buttons here with as large of an audience as we have. It takes a few buttons here that I'm going to press to feature your comments here on WFLA Now. For those of you who have been with us here before, you're going to hear this for probably the second, third, or 40th or 50th time, but I have to repeat this over and over again to our audience as far as how this works. You see the hashtags on our screen. You see them here on the yellow stripes, hashtag HeyJB. On the right side of your screen, hashtag HeyWalt. And if you use those hashtags, that is a means for us to grab
Let's
your
hope this doesn't happen
social media, and we can feature
this
it
time.
animated here on screen. If you do not want your picture and your profile picture,
you're right, Kaleidoscope. There is a big concern, and it always happens. Big stories, they'll go from big story to big story to big story on social media, on YouTube, and in the national news. So this is going to start winding down if it is Brian, unfortunately. And the next big thing, the next big story is going to come up, and that's just the way it goes.
Tugged at the emotional, heartstrings of so many people. Where do you think the public is after this FBI press conference?
Well, they're not happy. There's no doubt they're not happy. But I hope, there's as many unreasonable comments as I've seen out there. There are also a lot of reasonable people who have some empathy, like we've talked about for the Launries, about the protests in front of it. And then there are others who say, no, protest. They did something wrong. We know they did. So I hope people understand that, there's an old saying in journalism, get it first, but before you get it first, get it right. And there's nothing more that would be more have a bigger negative impact than if the FBI sort of said, oh yeah, we think it's Brian Launrie, or it's Brian Launrie, and then it turns out to not be Brian Launrie. I mean, that just can't happen. So and he said it's a complicated case. That particular FBI agent is out of the Tampa office. This is a Denver-led investigation. So again, he does not want to speak for Denver, and I'm sure Denver wants to make sure they know exactly whose body this is, because and that means the search continues, right? The search continues, and that if again, I think tipsters should realize if you see Brian Launrie, the tip should still come in, right? I mean, let's be logical here. We don't know that that's Brian Launrie. We know it's a backpack. We know it's a notebook, but we don't know that's Brian Launrie yet. And I think people will be frustrated, but they should understand the investigation takes its time because they want to make sure it's right and accurate.
Let's start with this one, and this would be a direct opportunity for us to get some information. But Melissa Mariuti, hashtag HeyWalt, hashtag HeyJB. Hopefully Brian left answers in that notebook in regards to all of our questions that we have.
No doubt. And if it can be read, if it was in the water, can you read it right away? But paper, again, the FBI has probably I don't think there's a probably about it. It's the best crime lab in the world.
It's so
let's
sad.
Also talk about
Kaleidoscope.
Okay, we don't know this is Brian Launrie. We don't know this is Brian Launrie.
Curious, I've just put it in the chat, the link. Hopefully that works.
People
Let me know.
Commenting already, blowing up hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyWalt, saying and wondering aloud or theorizing aloud that this is suicide. Is the notebook is the notebook potential for it's not a piece of paper, it's a notebook, but is that the potential for what in other cases would be called a suicide note? That's another thing that people are again, just chiming in with some of the things that people are saying here in the social media comment section. But this
don't know, Colby.
This is very much some of the comments that we're getting in here. Let's get to some more questions and comments, and we asked you to define what you think justice is in this case. Tammy Lynn, #AJB, #AWalt. Justice is someone being held accountable for murdering Gabby and helping him get away. Let's not understate that or miss that they called it a murder. Michael McPherson called it a murder. It is otherwise
Did
been
he say
disclosed.
murder today?
No, I wrote it down. A person of interest, and he identified Brian Launrie. I wrote it in my notes because I wanted to be certain. Michael McPherson, FBI, said that Brian Launrie is a person of interest in Gabby Petito's murder. Now,
if you're new in here, welcome. Please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for updates, please.
A big deal out of that. It's a big deal in that when it's acknowledged by the FBI that it's now not a homicide, a murder case, and that he's a person of interest in murder, which we haven't ever heard those words uttered before. He was a person of interest in an FBI-led criminal investigation into the disappearance of Gabby Petito, and of course, that it would come out that the federal arrest warrant was issued for
ask Google. Google knows everything.
Or debit card fraud. But to hear those words, Brian Launrie, person of interest in Gabby Petito's murder, we can't overlook that. That was a moment in this press conference that didn't offer all that much, but that stuck out to me because it's the first time we haven't heard much from the FBI. And we haven't even heard Josh Taylor, the spokesperson for Northport Police, utter those words. But we had it here today.
Don't know what's wrong with JB's mic.
Could it be a slip of the tongue?
We are watching WFLA News Channel.
Murder. Now again, a strangulation. I'm pretty sure strangulations have to almost always be first degree, because intent does not seem to, I'm not an attorney, but intent does not seem to be a question in a strangulation because of the length of time. Does the FBI now consider this a murder and we don't know that? It's initially a homicide, which would include murder, second-degree murder, criminally negligent homicide, manslaughter. This is with a strangulation, there's intent. So maybe they do now consider it a murder. I don't know, or a slip of the tongue, but very, very perceptive of you to pick that up, JB.
Also, we have to be perceptive with the comments in front of us. Tammy saying, and helping him get away. Now, that is a comment. That is a comment that, as we see Cassie Launrie come up here on screen, but that is a comment that is alleging, Tammy is alleging that Brian Launrie wasn't alone as far as leaving and as far as eluding authorities. You just saw Chief Todd Garrison, who was there at the press conference as well. I don't know if you caught that, Walt, but Chief Todd Garrison, Chief of Northport Police, was there as well. He was the one who famously said, or infamously said, we know where Brian is, and he was there at that press conference today. But again, Tammy alleging here that Brian had help. Did Brian have help? Was Chris or Roberta Launrie involved in him leaving the home? Was there somebody else that aided him? These are questions now that get tackled in the future, and but I don't know if necessarily how much that is going to satisfy getting answers to that question. I don't know how much that satisfies those that have been crying out for justice for Gabby. I don't know what that would mean to Nicole or Joe Petito or Nicole Schmidt, Gabby's mom and dad. We don't know, but it's interesting there are so many out there that still today believe that Brian's disappearance didn't occur without help.
In a third-degree felony in Florida, the parent has immunity against being prosecuted for accessory after the fact. In a third-degree felony, if this is a murder, which it appears to be, it does not appear to be a manslaughter or a criminal. It doesn't appear to be an accident. You can't accidentally strangle someone. If they somehow believe or can prove that Brian did it, and that becomes difficult, you could get them for accessory. You can, first or second, you can get parents for accessory. Keep in mind, nobody's been charged. I do not believe there's no immunity in a federal case, though. So if this is a federal case, and obviously you'd have to be able to link the son to the crime, right? How do you do that if the son is
Curious, we
no
don't
longer
know
alive?
whether
So those things come into play.
the
Now,
backpack was on him,
obstructing
though, on the
justice,
body,
getting in the
or if
way,
it was
or
just
lying
beside.
to police, I don't think it would have to have any tie to the real base crime here, which is the homicide. So I get what she's saying there. But again, let's really emphasize this. No one has been charged with anything except Brian Launrie for the debit card fraud with Gabby Petito's cards.
Let me ask you this. If this is Brian Launrie, and if Brian Launrie is determined to be deceased, what happens to the Gabby Petito homicide murder investigation?
Good question.
What happens to is there ever a day where Brian Launrie gets named as a suspect, even if he is deceased? How does the process evolve now that we have potentially Brian Launrie deceased?
Kaleidoscope, I know what you mean.
I think that notebook's key.
Very, very sad for
What's
Gabby's
the notebook
family.
say? If the notebook somehow says
This isn't justice for them.
I had to do it, or whatever it says, that's a key. Can they read
In my
the notebook?
opinion, this is not justice
You said earlier
for
in this
Gabby's
broadcast how
family.
this story, and you're right, has had so many odd twists. The camping trip, the fact they bought the camper at that point, the Mustang,
the flight home.
I can stay for another half hour, guys.
That turned out to be true. The social media that the last time she was seen alive was by a social influencer, a social media influencer out of New Orleans, and that the van was spotted by a social media influencer out of Spring Hill, Florida.
I can stay another half hour, guys, before I have to start getting ready for work, but we'll keep listening to JB and Walt here because there's some really interesting questions being asked, and they're giving some interesting answers as well. So, but please keep commenting, and I'll keep putting your comments on the screen.
That notebook becomes almost bigger if it's not Brian Launrie. Because
So
theoretically,
what you're saying is, if I want to make sure I follow this correctly before I say something, what you're asking is if the remains aren't Brian's, but the backpack and the notebook are Brian's?
yes, the notebook now becomes a key to theoretically finding Brian Launrie.
Yeah.
The notebook,
Of course.
the notebook.
Donna, welcome.
That notebook is huge.
Yeah, I feel
I'll
exactly the same way. If this is Brian, that's not justice for Gabby's family. I feel the same way.
What if the remains weren't found? What if this had just been the backpack and the notebook?
Right.
Please, everyone, give me a like. Hit that thumbs up button.
What is in that backpack? But that notebook is that's a big deal from a guy, I believe, who fancied himself.
Sending you all our love, Kaleidoscope.
That adds up, yes.
All our love and prayers, honey.
So someone like that puts their, they put their.
Please
real
be
thoughts
careful
in
with
that
yourself. Be
notebook.
kind
if
to
they can
yourself.
read it, that's going to be interesting. But here, let me ask you this: I don't know the answer. We have many FBI agents that we've talked to. Does the FBI have to release that notebook to anybody other than the family? Do they have to release the details? Brian Launrie, if Brian Laundrie's no longer with us, I don't believe he can go from, well, I guess he could if they found more evidence. He could go from person of interest to suspect, but he's no longer with us. So that's another question. Can he go from person of interest to suspect if he's dead, even if they find more evidence? What would be the use of that other than, I don't know what would be the use of that. A lot of questions. News conference was a surprise.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I was surprised that the notebook now is going to be the subject of threads online.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of attention that this notebook
The notebook's going to get a lot of attention.
The most famous notebook in the world, or the most infamous notebook in the world. Everyone's going to want to know its contents.
Right.
Everyone's going to want to know whether it's intact.
Right.
And we had a commenter here. And to be
That's
honest,
awesome,
Mark, I was
Kaleidoscope.
surprised that they even gave us that.
Lots of love to you.
No one would have blinked an eye if they had just said, we found a backpack,
Really good point. Very good
We
point.
just found a backpack,
This
and then
is
we
the-
found remains, and that was the contents of the press conference itself. Was just those two announcements. But the notebook is an add-on now. That is, I already see it. It's happening in real time, interactively here. I'm watching it happen on all these platforms. People are now asking, what is in the notebook? It's going to be a hashtag in no time. What was in the notebook? And so
It's going to be
I'm surprised,
crazy,
to say the least, Walt, that piece of information was released by Michael McPherson of the FBI, because I didn't think that they were going to get that detailed as far as what they found here at the scene and in Myakkahatchee. There was another comment here, and Kay is right on the money. Kay Dean. Hashtag HJB. Hopefully the backpack was waterproof and the notebook is still intact. Or she says intake, but that's intact.
Right. I guess I saw it as
Colton.
two items side by side. I saw it as backpack and notebook.
No,
very
very
well could be the notebooks in the backpack. But that makes your point even more important. Is that this is the FBI? They don't release details. I hope you folks understand.
I'll go as far to say that I am shocked that they put out the detail about the notebook.
You're doing a great job,
Kaleidoscope. Not releasing details. I get it. I fully get it. But yes, was the backpack? The backpack must have been waterproof. But was the notebook in the backpack?
I don't know.
No,
I have backpacks that aren't waterproof. Well, what do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean by waterproof now?
Right.
So let's talk about this.
Is it a camping backpack or is it
I'm very grateful for Kay for bringing this up.
Yeah.
Because waterproof. Yeah, if I have a backpack and it rains outside, I don't think the contents of my backpack are gonna get wet. What's in the backpack is gonna get wet.
Julie, welcome
But
home.
if that backpack is submerged underwater for days or weeks on end, is water gonna trickle in there and is the backpack's contents just gonna be also submerged in water? So waterproof could mean that it just it's not going to, from rain, or it goes back to, conversations about like your iPhone. Your iPhone is waterproof, but up to what depth? They have different grades now for your electronic devices as far as, you can have your iPhone, modern day iPhones, like you can have your iPhone underwater up to 3 feet of water for a period of 30 minutes.
It
or
is
something like that,
heartbreaking,
and
Donna. We don't know
stay
how to feel about it, to be honest.
Same for the backpack. So the backpack also, if it's completely submerged underwater.
You're welcome, Sal. Good to have you. Please like the channel, subscribe.
Or is there a length of time before the contents of that backpack also too get submerged? And also, it sounds silly that we're bringing this up, but does the backpack float?
Right.
Or is it? I think if it floated. If the backpack I don't think the backpack floated. I'm almost answering my own question. I think it was underneath the surface of the water. But Walt, your point is perfect as far as, was the notebook in the backpack or was it found alongside the backpack? And more important than even that question, how intact is the notebook? Was it thoroughly destroyed by the water that has fallen in Myakkahatchee, or especially over the month of September?
We don't know, though, how deep of water that these remains were found in, or how deep the water was for these remains. We don't, you know what I mean? Like, it could have been a shallow situation, but yeah, this point is very important because that notebook's a very vital piece of information.
Now, I want to bring up this comment that just came in from Alicia Seegers. Hashtag HJB, hashtag AWalt. The type of bag they found.
Just quickly, Donna, thank you for buying me a few coffees. I appreciate that very much. Anytime someone helps the channel with a donation or a share or a like or a subscribe, it means the absolute world to me. So thank you very much.
Did that?
No, I don't know where that came out, but
I remember hearing a backpack, and so Alicia, I'm just gonna, if I may, I'm just going to correct you and just say that the backpack was what they found was a backpack. And we hope it's a dry bag. If it's a dry bag, so a dry bag is designed to, if it's even out to sea, there are dry bags that if you literally cast them out to sea, there's little that is ever going to be done to allow water into that bag. But and yes, they're silicone based, and they're great at keeping water out. That's what they're designed to do. But that's different to me than a backpack. And so we don't know.
And then what else is in the bag? I mean, it's interesting to me, again, why the release
I have
of
fat
just
hobbit fingers, curious.
those two items, backpack and notebook. It's very interesting that they released those, what's there, and not the rest of the items in the backpack.
More comments on what is justice for Gabby Petito. To you, wherever you're watching from, what does justice mean to you? Stephanie Hahn, hashtag AJB Justice, is giving answers by admitting what you did and that it is wrong. But to Stephanie's, I'm going to hop off of Stephanie's comment here and say that a deceased person can't admit a fault unless it's in the notebook.
Right.
And he can't admit that it was wrong unless it's in the notebook. But, okay, I'll jump off of Stephanie's comment here. Let's say it's Brian Launrie. Let's say that Brian Launrie committed murder and murdered his fiancée, Gabby Petito. And let's say that there is legible content within the notebook. And that legible content reads as something along the lines of, I did it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Is that justice? Is admission justice? Is him saying, I did a terrible thing, I was wrong, and I can't live with the knowledge that I claimed the life of somebody who I loved? Is admission of guilt justice? Because what Stephanie is saying here, justice is giving answers by admitting what you did and that it was wrong. But does that satisfy the people that are calling for justice for Gabby?
I don't think it does, and I think when people call justice for Gabby, they want, like you said, an eye for an eye. I think is what they want, and I mean, if he's no longer with us, I guess they got that. Do they want to know more? They want to ask him how he could do that, why he could do that. I don't think, you and I, we cover these things, so. I'm sure you have too. We've sat in courtrooms where there's a suspect, terrible crimes, and you learn a lot really about the suspect during the sentencing, because that's when their whole life stories played out. And the defense attorney paints pictures of, they're always sad stories. And a good defense attorney, I had a defense
You're
attorney
right,
having
Kaleidoscope.
me feel empathy
Sweetly
for a guy
Morbid Beer,
that
welcome.
killed an entire family. I didn't
So
feel
good
it
to see
long,
you.
but I'm human. So my point is, is that what people want? They want to hear that in a courtroom. They want him to
Thanks
be
for
locked
coming,
up.
Morbid.
They want the death penalty. I completely get it. I think all of us feel we know Gabby Petito, right? She's our little sister. She's my friend. She reminds me of my daughter. And so, you're wringing your hands. You just don't get it. Nobody, how could it?
Just quickly, I love everybody that comes to my lives. I think it's really, really lovely that people think of me and care about me and want to show up in their lives and discuss cases and listen to me rattle on. You just don't know how I appreciate it. We may be a small group, but we're a real loving, caring group, and we care about cases. So I just wanted to give a shout out to y'all. I love you all.
Say that again.
I don't. The admitting part, I don't know that we'd ever know that he admitted it, whether he was alive or dead, right?
Well, unless it's the notebook, right?
The notebook could be. There you go. But does the notebook include?
What does the notebook contain?
Yeah.
The internet right now is. I'm seeing it. The notebook now is. I'm shocked that the FBI released that piece of information. And I'm going to go to another comment. Stephanie, thank you for chiming in here. And I think we lost Stephanie's comment. Oh no, I think there it is. Okay. And I want to bring in this more recent one that just came in. Melissa Russo, hashtag HAB, hashtag HeyWalt. I think the FBI brought up the notebook only because there's important evidence they can get from it. But even so, if that was a fact, and Melissa, I'm speaking to you here, even if that's so, they'd have there's no benefit to them, no benefit whatsoever to announce it to the public.
It's the opposite of the benefit, because now there's going to be a clamoring to release the notebook, whether that's Brian Launrie or not. There are people chanting at the FBI, justice for Gabby, when I don't understand those chants at the FBI. Because I'm sure the FBI wants justice for Gabby too. But there are people who there's going to be a demand for that notebook from the media, from everybody. Why mention it? It's interesting. It's an interesting thing that they mentioned that there was a notebook.
Staying on the notebook, back to more justice responses here in just a second. But Tina Hopper, hashtag HJB, hashtag HWalt. If the notebook wasn't intact, how could they tell the FBI that it was Brian's? I think
That's a great question.
It's a great question.
Who is that? Who's that?
It's Tina.
Tina. Nice. That's a really good question, and that's and right. And so the parents came out there and they said, "That's my son's handwriting. That's my son's notebook."
Interesting.
Theoretically,
right? Or
so they know
I'm thinking out loud.
It's Brian's
here.
notebook.
I am wondering. I am
because of the
picturing a
handwriting,
notebook in a puddle
which
of water.
means it's readable.
I don't know why. I keep thinking
how,
that it's in a puddle of water.
somewhere.
But or no, it wouldn't be. Hold on, time out. It wouldn't be in a puddle of water. It would have been in a puddle of water, and then what would have happened is the water would have receded, and then it would have baked in the Florida sun. If it's outside of the backpack,
right,
and it was just floating in the water.
I think it was outside the backpack.
If it were okay,
because otherwise, why are you just picking out? Why are you just mentioning? Why are you just mentioning the notebook? You said notebook, and the backpack. Why do you mention everything else in the backpack?
This is pretend time, right? We're going down the rabbit hole a little bit.
Okay.
So yes, there's a sound effect for it. So bear with us here, everybody. But if the notebook is discovered and it's outside of the backpack, it's not in it, it's outside of it, and it's in swampy water or submerged completely in water, then it was wet, and the contents of that notebook were wet. And then water recedes, bakes in the Florida sun, dries out, and becomes, I know, because, and I think that others have probably spilled a drink or two on notebooks growing up, and what will happen is,
I know how you feel.
Liquid on a notebook or on paper of any kind, a binder, a notebook, and then you dry it out, and then it becomes almost withered, right? And the ink on that paper can become faded. So what I'm thinking about
is it ink?
here.
How do you know it's not pencil?
So we're really now getting into pretend time here, or going down the rabbit hole as we call it. But to answer Tina's question,
maybe, Julie, because he was experienced, wasn't he? So he may have knew to put stuff like that into plastic bags.
Marker said Brian, his name on it, and then you open up the contents of the notebook, and all of that ink, if it's ink, pen ink, could it have faded? And then you don't know the contents of the notebook, but you know that it's Brian's because of the cover of the notebook. We're really down the rabbit hole.
Stephen Bertolino, didn't he say did he say, I saw the statement,
articles.
I tweeted it? Did he say they went there to identify them? Or didn't he say?
No, that they were discovered, that they were found. And I'll bring up the exact statement here again. The attorney, Stephen Bertolino, Launrie family attorney. And it reads as follows. Chris and Roberta Launrie went to the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park this morning to search for Brian. The FBI and Northport police were informed last night of Brian's parents' intentions, and they met Chris and Roberta there this morning. After a brief search off of a trail
Sugar.
that Brian frequented,
Welcome,
some
hon.
articles
Good to see you.
belonging to Brian were found. As of
Please
now, law
give me
enforcement
a
is
like
conducting a more thorough
video.
investigation of that area.
What time did Bertolino release that statement?
That is approximately noon.
That is so odd. That's just odd.
The notebook, and I mentioned earlier that it was articles of clothing. I misheard the statement. I thought it was articles of clothing. It was articles, which I still think is an odd word to use to describe a backpack and a notebook. If I found somebody's backpack and notebook on the pavement, and it was just randomly in front of me, I would say, "Oh, I found someone's articles." I don't. That's it's
an attorney word.
It's definitely an attorney word coming from somebody who. Well, I'll refrain from speaking further on that, but someone who has been unorthodox in their means of communication, to say the least. But I would have said belongings. Regardless, it's not clothing. It's a backpack and a notebook. And to Tina's comment here, they were confident enough to announce it at this. They have to be 100. They don't. The FBI doesn't announce things that they have certainty of. That's like 50-50. No. They're announcing
20, not even 90-10.
Not even 90-10.
No.
It's way above 90-10.
Right.
And so they have to be certain that that notebook does in fact belong to Brian. Let's get to some of the other comments and questions here that are coming in the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter comment sections. Denise, this is what Denise, I'm with you. We asked, what is justice for Gabby? What is that to you? And Denise, I think that you and I think that if I sat down for a moment off stream without a bright light and a camera and microphone in my face, and I wanted to, as eloquently as I could, put into words what justice for Gabby is, I think it would look a lot like what Denise has written here, and that is #HJB, #HayWall. Maybe justice means closure for her parents and the rest of the world.
Well, I would say the rest of the world may get closure. I think after parents have closure, they have more pain. Special day is going to remind them of their child, and it's never going to stop. God bless them, because that, I can't imagine that, whether it's a brother, a sister, a good friend. But I think it's a child so vibrant. I think that had these goals and took this chance, right? Like hit the road, took a chance in that's not an easy career, by the way, to get followers. It's crazy. You start with nothing, you take this chance, and then it ends like this. That's pure pain all the time. And closure for the rest of the world, perhaps. I think there are empaths out there, though, who will also be affected by this for a long time, because again, we feel like we knew Gabby Petito a little bit more than we feel like we know other victims of homicide. So, but yeah, I guess maybe that is the justice. Should it be justice for the Petitos and justice for the Schmitz? Is that really what we should really be talking about? I mean, at the end of the day,
well,
I'll
think
bring this up again.
Justice in Gabby's, in the memory of Gabby Petito, in the life of Gabby Petito.
Again, there could be a wrongful death lawsuit here. I don't know that for sure, but couldn't there be a wrongful death lawsuit? Who do you sue, though? Do you sue? Is there an ability to sue? I mean, and if there's a wrongful death, a civil suit, you could get more information than we have now.
How about this? This is a comment that Barbie says, this one, and this is the last one that we'll take about justice. But so many other commenters that I have seen come in on my screen here, it's very similar to this one. And I'm curious what you have to say, but Barbie Martin, #HJB, whether dead or alive, there is no justice for Gabby.
I'm going to agree with Barbie Martin. There is no justice for Gabby. Dead or alive, 100%.
I would be very curious to hear from Gabby's family. What is justice to you? What does that look like? What do you? But
I agree with that.
I know from talking to them enough, and I know with spending enough time with them, I know that their response to that form of question is likely to be, we just want to help other families, and we want the Gabby Petito Foundation to prevent future tragedies from occurring. That as much as I know that justice means so much to them, and the concept of justice means so much to them, I think that
Sugar, was that Gabby Petito's parents that you watched on an 8-minute video?
The families of other missing people, and having conversations pertaining to domestic violence and domestic abuse. And I'd still be very curious to have that conversation with them.
I think closure has become a cliche attached to these tragedies, but I'll tell you another cliche that has become attached to tragedies like this, and I believe in this one. I think foundations do keep people alive. You continue to see those videos. You put her spirit out there, what she said out there, and I think that is huge. And if it helps one person get out of a bad relationship, I bet it's already helped one person get out of a bad relationship. I bet you it's helped multiple people finally say, oh man, I don't want that to happen to me.
I bet it's helped people too. Absolutely.
Media again, that's
all right, guys, I'm going to get off. I have work in just an hour, so I don't have much time to get ready for work. In the description box, I will put the link to WFLA News, so you continue to watch if you want. Also, if there's any updates, I will put them in the comments below. So if you want to continue to the discussion, go into the comments below. Just looking at some of your comments here. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate the support. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get any updates. Thanks so much, TJ. Have a great day at work. Thank you, Curious. I appreciate it, guys. I really do. Whether you donate, whether you share, whether you chat, it's just, I love it. I love you guys. That's all I can say. So continue in the description box or in the comments below. I'm going to periodically pop in and see the comments when I can during the day and have a bit of a discussion as well. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate each and every one of you. You just don't know. All right, guys, lots of love. Talk to you in the comments, and have a great day or a great night or afternoon or morning, wherever you are. Thanks, sugar.